Welcome to the Midnight Tales. My name is Gideon Blackthorn, and I am the keeper of these quiet stories. So sit back and relax and listen to my tale until sleep finds you. Tonight's story is called Rain on the Windows of Blackthorn Library. The rain began slowly that evening. At first, it was only a few scattered drops falling softly through the branches of the old oaks that surrounded Blackthorn Library. Then another drop followed, and another, until the whole forest was filled with the gentle sound of rain settling into the earth. Inside the library, the lamps were already lit. Their warm amber glow stretched quietly across the wooden floor, touching the tall shelves of ancient books that lined the walls from floor to ceiling. Outside the tall windows, the storm deepened. Rain tapped softly against the glass, a patient rhythm, steady, unhurried, almost like a quiet clock keeping time with the night. I sat in my usual chair beside the reading table. The fire in the hearth burned low and calm, its quiet crackling bending gently with soft drummings of rain. Storms have always had a curious way of visiting this library, not with violence, but with a quiet kind of companionship. The rain would fall, the wind would wander through the trees, and the library would listen. I reached for a small brass lamp and turned its flame slightly lower. In storms like this, the library prefers a softer light. There is something about rain that makes old stories easier to hear. Perhaps it's the way the storm closes the world outside. Or perhaps it's simply that rain reminds us how comforting a quiet room can be. Beyond the windows, lightning flashed faintly in the distance. Not sharp, not loud, just a pale silver glow spreading slowly through the clouds. A moment later, far beyond the hills, came the gentle roll of thunder. It sounded less like a storm and more like the sky itself turning in its sleep. The sound gradually faded into the forest, and once again only the rain remained. I rose from my chair and walked slowly between the tall bookcases. The floorboards beneath my steps were old, but kind. They had carried many readers through these halls over many quiet years. Tonight, the library felt especially peaceful. Storm nights often do. Travelers rarely come when rain is falling. The forest paths become soft with water. The roads grow quiet, and the library belongs only to the storm. At the far end of the room, a tall window overlooked dark trees. The rain slid gently down the glass in long silver lines. Beyond the window, the forest had become a shifting veil of shadows. Branches swayed slowly in the wind. Leaves whispered softly to one another, and every so often, another distant roll of thunder drifted quietly across the sky. I opened a small wooden drawer in the old writing desk beside the window. Inside lay a collection of journals. Travelers sometimes leave them here, not as gifts, but as memories, stories that wished to remain in the quiet company of the library. One small leather journal caught my eye. Its cover was worn smooth by many hands. I opened it carefully. Inside were pages filled with careful handwriting. The writer had once arrived here on a stormy night very much like this one. The journal spoke of rain falling through the forest, of lantern light glowing in the windows, and the deep peace that can only be found when the world outside grows quiet. He wrote that the storm had followed him for miles, but the moment he stepped inside the library, the thunder seemed to grow softer, as though the storm itself had paused at the door to listen. I closed the journal gently. The rain outside had settled into a steady rhythm now, the kind of rain that seems content to fall for many quiet hours. I returned to my chair beside the fire. The lamp glowed softly beside me. The flames in the hearth shifted and breathed. And outside, the rain continued its slow conversation with the windows. Somewhere beyond the trees, another quiet rumble of thunder rolled across the night. But it sounded very far away now, almost peaceful. Storms have a way of doing that. They begin with energy, but if you listen long enough, they soften. They wander. And eventually, they drift away into the distance. The rain tapped gently against the glass. The fire settled lower, and the library itself seemed to breathe with the slow rhythm of the storm. It was the kind of night where the world felt safely held between rain and lamplight. A night made not for travel, but for rest. Outside, the forest whispered quietly in the wind. Inside the library, the lamps glowed warm and steady, and somewhere between the sound of rain and the turning of quiet pages, sleep began to wander softly through the room. The rain continued to fall on the windows of Blackthorn Library, soft, steady, and patient. And here within these quiet walls, the night remains calm. So rest now. The storm will pass in its own time, and I will keep watch here in the library until morning. Thanks for wandering the library with me. Until next time on Voices from the Void, may your nights be a little spookier and your bookshelves a little more mysterious.